Okay, let's just dive right in. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That perfect life, perfectly framed, filtered, and posted for everyone to see. But how often does that shiny, digital version of a person actually match the messy, complicated reality? Today, we're going to explore that gap, that really fascinating and, yeah, sometimes frustrating space between who we are and who we post.
And this, right here, just nails the whole conflict, doesn't it? Online, it's all hashtags, hashtag blessed, and hashtag soulmates. But in reality, life is mortgages and arguing about milk. This isn't just about sharing good news. It's about crafting a highlight reel of your life. So, the really big question is, why? Why do we all feel this need to perform?
Well, to really get to the bottom of it, we have to see our online lives for what they often are: a performance. I mean, think about it. We're all actors, and our social media profiles, that's our personal stage. We get to choose the lighting, we write the script, we only show the best takes. But here's the thing, this idea isn't new. It didn't just start with the internet.
And that's what's so fascinating about this quote from researcher Harry T. Dyer. The whole act of curating who we are, of presenting a certain version of ourselves to the world, that's an age-old human thing. What's brand new are the tools we have to do it. The platforms, the filters, the fact that our audience is potentially the entire globe, that just amplifies this impulse to a whole new level.
You know, there's actually a term for this. Way back in 1959, long before anyone had even dreamed of the internet, a sociologist named Erving Goffman called it impression management. It's this process of controlling the information that people see to shape how they think about us. Sound familiar? Yeah. It's basically the pre-digital instruction manual for using social media.
And here is where it all clicks together with our lives today. Researchers Bullingham and Vasconcelos point out that when we hide certain parts of our personality online, our anxieties, our insecurities, or maybe just our really boring Tuesday nights, that's impression management in action. We are actively controlling the performance for our audience.
Goffman also had this idea of a front stage and a backstage. This slide is a perfect modern example. Think of Facebook as the front stage. It's for your entire social network, friends, family, that guy from accounting, so it's where you perform success. A personal blog, though, that can be the backstage. It's a place for a smaller, niche audience where people share really intimate, confessional-style stuff. But it's tricky, because even that is its own kind of performance, a performance of being authentic.
But let's be honest, being on stage 24/7 is absolutely exhausting. And that brings us to the consequences of this never-ending show, right? What happens when the curtain just never seems to fall?
Seriously? What happens when your stage is a smartphone that's literally with you all the time? When you are constantly, painfully aware of the audience, of the pressure to keep up the act, and that constant need to compare your real, messy life to everyone else's perfect highlight reel.
Well, it leads to something that experts are now calling digital fatigue. It's that feeling of complete burnout from the relentless pressure to manage your online persona, to consume everyone else's content, and to constantly feel like you have to measure up. It is basically the mental exhaustion of living in the digital age.
But here's the hopeful part. People are pushing back. I found these fascinating, really practical strategies from online communities like Reddit's r/nosurf. And they're simple things, like buying a wristwatch so you don't pick up your phone just to see the time, and then accidentally scroll for 30 minutes. Or setting really firm boundaries, like, I'm only checking my phone twice a day. These are like these little acts of rebellion against that digital fatigue. So the logical solution seems pretty simple, right? Just log off. Just resist the performance. But what if it's not that simple? This is where the story takes this really fascinating, unexpected turn we're calling the authenticity paradox. This whole debate is usually framed as online versus offline, or digital versus real. But what if that's the wrong way to look at it? What if we've been asking the wrong question this whole time?
Okay, so check this out, because this is a real game changer. A recent 2024 study found that when young adults feel like their social media self is authentic, that it's a true reflection of them, it can actually protect them from things like stress and other negative mental health symptoms.
Yeah, just let that sink in for a second. The study found that for these young adults, feeling authentic online can sometimes be more critical for their well-being than feeling authentic offline. I mean, that just flips the whole script. It suggests that social media isn't automatically the bad guy. It can be a vital space for self-expression. The problem isn't the stage itself, it's the performance we choose to put on. So where does that leave all of us? It means we probably need to stop thinking about this hard line between our digital and real lives, and start thinking a little differently about where we find our true, authentic sense of self.
So let's just quickly recap this whole journey. First, we figured out that we all perform a curated version of ourselves online. There's even a name for it, impression management. Then, we saw how that constant performance leads to comparison and digital fatigue. But third, and this is the real kicker, the solution isn't necessarily to just quit and disconnect, but to change the act, to fight for authenticity no matter where we are, online or off. And that brings us to the final question, the one I really want to leave you with. Maybe the most important boundary isn't the one that separates our screen from the real world. Maybe the line that truly matters is the one we have to draw inside ourselves, the one between being authentic and being inauthentic. So, where do you draw that line?